Hey YouTube, how you doing? It's Max. Yeah, it's been about I think 8 days since I've posted an update video. Um, I think it was the 11th of September I uploaded a couple videos that day. I think I spent like 12 hours that day, or 10 hours, 12 hours, I don't know, working on the game. And what I was doing was mostly working on revamping settlements and stuff like that, creating NPCs. And I did it for a couple locations. And so over the past week, I've been going through the rest of them and kind of updating the towns. And it's just been a project that's been a lot. It's been very time consuming because I kind of go into the town, kind of redesign the town, have to change all the I guess where you're kind of entering buildings, exiting buildings, those kinds of coordinates, stuff like that, making sure that everything kind of lines up. I've been trying to incorporate more, I guess, for each settlement, I want them to have specific things being sold. So for the Elven place, there was the bows, the frog leather armor. So we were trying to come up with like different tiers for armor that we can sell at each kind of settlement. And then also creating NPCs that are custom and unique to each town. So I think I ended on Doriconia last time. So if we go into Halloway, I think this is the next one on the list. You'll see that this is a lot different than what it was originally. There were originally these trees that kind of lined up this entire path. Now it's a bit more open, so you can kind of enter it through one, two, three, four, five different places. Technically six up here in the top. So I'll redesign this thing, and then I'm adding like things like this hilltop, which is kind of just this roundabout that I thought would be an interesting kind of like thing to do, since it would be like the entrance at the top left of this map on the map, which would be D6, that would be at the bottom right, and then you've got D5 where it would be at the actually it would be the top right, and D6, and then the bottom right of D5, and then in E5, which you can see here, it's at the bottom left. So adding stuff like that, just little things around the town to kind of, since I'm changing the town up a bit, sometimes the rim of the map will change, so I need to update that with the adjacent maps so it's a smooth transition. Adding a lot more like grass to some of these maps that wasn't there before. The trees layout, just trying to structure the buildings differently. So I've got this big house on the hill now. You've got the little church area, and then there's a graveyard over here. Some kind of residential houses on the hill. I've got some just another generic big building here. Then these are like the shops. So I've got like spider spider silk place. I got like a staff place, and then just like a generic magic shop kind of stuff with like runes and stuff like that. And we're changing the interiors of all these places. So these buildings have these like purple ponds within them with some waterfalls, and I'm kind of thinking there might be some sort of lore aspect. So while we're dealing with the visual, we're dealing with the mechanics. We're also dealing with just kind of lore elements. So like, what is this purple waterfall? Because I thought that would be like a unique asset since I had the asset. What we could use, and maybe this is like some sort of like purified blood pool that, since this is Halloween, they have like a little vampire aesthetic with a lot of the PCs, or not the NPCs. Maybe there's like this blood kind of thing. That would also tie into this kind of concept I have, where there may be these like, there might be some plantations off outside of the town where you might see some slaves or something who are kind of just these like blood slaves that are like kind of like raised like livestock or something like that. So just some interesting kind of things to play with here. We're going into, so each person has, you know, you have to make their facial things. You got to make their sprites on the open world. So there's been a lot of those. Let's see if we can go into these and like see. guess go into these folders. So I made the city folk folder, and you can kind of see these are all the NPCs I made for Castle Guard. These are all the NPCs I made for Doriconia, Mildestad, and so on. You can see, so there's a lot of them. I even made this list. Where is it? Uh, right over here. Um, so we've got this is my NPCs kind of spreadsheet. So you can see these are all the NPCs that I've been documenting over the course of doing this. I've got 165 NPCs. There are some PCs in here, but for their NPCs on the map until they become your PCs. So just kind of documenting them, what their gender is, where they are kind of like where they reside, I guess, what kind of affiliations they have based on region. They have professions, so there might be just some children, some like school related people, church, and I can kind of organize this if I want to. And then just some other notes. So like this is the bow salesman, this is the frog leather salesman, all that kind of stuff. So this is just kind of documenting all that. Again, I have these kinds of, this was like one of my French name databases because I was in Victoria. I think they have like a lot of like French inspired names. So that's what that is. And then this one is kind of just like some notes that I was writing down for shops. So as I was kind of like creating shops for like Halloween, this is the spider silk tomes, the spider silk staffs, and just spider silk armor, so that kind of stuff. Not all of this is like canon information. It's just kind of ideas. That's kind of like an ideas spreadsheet, whereas this spreadsheet right here is more of like me tracking. So there's different types of spreadsheets. Um, but like you can see, I guess if I go into images here, we can go into faces, and if we're going to Halloween, um, so we've got quite a few different ones. So this is the NPCs that I was working on. So people who are shop owners, stuff like that. Shop owners, you've got your government people, you've got your church people. This is part two. So these are kind of like the NPCs that I created just for Halloween. So there's 9 settlements, um, 10 with Salem, 11 with Port Pawnee, but I haven't really fleshed those two out as much. But just working on creating a lot of NPCs. These are the template NPCs. So if I wanted to add more kind of just generic people, these are kind of how I'm basing that off of. So you can kind of see like some similarities between a lot of these, but still some differences. So we got those, and then these are the slave NPCs that I was working on. So there's just a lot goes into, I guess, the behind the scenes of this, and it just takes a long time to make all the maps, um, reorganize everything. So that's kind of like, I guess, what I did. So I'll just kind of continue just showcasing the maps. So this was Halloween, and pretty much just what I was going through. Imagine I just do this with all of them. So we've got Halloween, we've got the inn, general store, weapon shop, this is a magic shop. This is another magic shop. This one's for magic armor, and this one's just generic magic, I think. We've got the church. We've got the school. We've got the tavern where they go get drinks. We've got the government building, and we've got some residential, and we got this mausoleum. And this mausoleum isn't completely fleshed out yet, but in this mausoleum, there's going to be probably another mini game where every time you come in here, there's going to be one of these, similar to like the Lieutenant Surge gym, I guess you could say, where you have to figure out which coffin is actually the dungeon entrance, and the other 11 are just going to be an encounter with a zombie or something. So in order to get into this dungeon every single time, you're gonna have to figure out which coffin is the correct one. But that's a project for another date. This is just like an extra house. This is the house on the hill that I haven't fleshed out yet, so you can kind of see there's just all these um, uh, buildings and stuff, creating a lot of maps to just kind of flesh out each town. That's Halloween. Port Pontia I did a little bit of work on. I don't have any buildings that do anything. This is again the pirate kind of coast town. So if I ever want to expand this and go visit like um, other like regions or something, you might be able to board a ship from Port Pontia and go visit other realms. But that's kind of like a if I need to expand this world a bit more. Currently, there's still plenty to flesh out in this region, so haven't really worked a whole lot on this yet. Um, but we've got Gunner's Grim. This was the kind of like the Viking kind of northern area. A lot of Scandinavian inspiration, stuff like that. Um, there's a whole bunch of NPCs with this town as well. Um, and I kind of made a lot more like elevated kind of mountains, so you can kind of see that there was just like this big wall that surrounded it. But for all the towns, I've kind of added more elevations, just to kind of give it more of like a feel and not just like not as flat, a little bit more dynamic. Um, but again, they have a lot of the same kind of stuff, specialized shops and stuff like that. They got their own government, they've got their own um, churches, schools, and just fleshing out NPCs here. Um, we'll go down to Castle Guard, which I did a whole lot on. Before, it was just this kind of moat that surrounded the entire city. You'll probably see it in like previous videos, but now I just have this giant wall that kind of leaks into other areas, so you can kind of see the wall kind of extending at the southern here, and you can kind of see it like in other areas of other maps. You'll be able to see the walls. So I wanted that to kind of be like a domineering kind of force that is present in a lot of other maps, so you can kind of get a sense for how big the city is. They have the most shops. They have this castle, which is where the royal family is. I made NPCs for the royal family, so there's the king, the queen, the prince, the princess. I've got one maid and one butler, so there's already 6 NPCs there. Um, you've got the school, you've got the the government building. So the government building is like more of the financial and the law and the military, whereas the royal family, they're kind of like the beacon of the celebrity status of who's in charge in Castle Garden. There's going to be all these relationships between, you've got the actual like kind of like prime minister, lawmaster with the military and religious kind of leader who kind of controls the clergy and the Templar, and then you've also got the royal family, and they all have like different the goal, at least, that this might be super ambitious, but to have these kinds of plot lines that kind of interweave between them. Um, so yeah, this is Castleguard. You've got a little bit of a farming area down here. You've got some residential. So the idea is for it to be this kind of big, traditionally medieval hub, kind of capital, if you will, where the royal family is and the castle and all that. um, the next town we've got is Mildestad. Oop, that's maybe it's not. This is back to the Pyramid Plunder. Just kidding. There might be something else then. I think Manaheim actually is the next one. So Manaheim, this is the starting town. So before, you'll see in some videos where it was just a couple of houses here and then a path that kind of comes up. I removed this bridge and kind of made it so you have to kind of walk all the way around, just to give the world a bit more, make it feel a little bit bigger. And then, you've got your pathway over here that goes to Victoria Beach and all that. You still got the bridge that kind of goes down here into the Whimsy Wood, and you've got the path that goes down to like the Fox Caves, and the path that goes over to the lakes. So you've got kind of like a school area down here with all the purple buildings. You've got the shops kind of in the middle here, some government, some residential, the inn. You've got the tavern and the church up here. Kind of, this is an example of, you can kind of see Castle Guard kind of leaking through, to show you how big this city is. You can even see it from Manaheim. Um, so yeah, that's Manaheim. I like the idea of the canals still, so I kept those. and you can see kind of like this valley in between these two elevated hills. Um, so that's what that one is, and then we've got a Mildestad is next. So this one I could probably add a bit more scenery. It's difficult with some of these desert kind of ones because I don't want it to seem like there's a lot of plants and flora in these deserts, but it does feel a bit barren. We got NPCs for all the different shops again. We've got NPCs for the tavern, the church, the government, school, tavern. I don't know if I said tavern. Maybe I said tavern instead of inn. There's residential. um, I could probably add like some cactus or something, some cacti, some just kind of like desert shrubbery. So maybe I'll add that, but again, more of the elevation. Um, and then kind of fleshing out this kind of waterfall area a bit more. So there's kind of like extra kind of water at the top, and then it kind of gets a little bit smaller at the bottom, and then it kind of gets smaller again, leading up into where the Whimsywood and the Fox area is, and Manheim and all that stuff. Um, Upper Mildestad, we still have the brazier that you need to light for that one quest. I'll probably refresh a bit of this in the future because it's just a lot of tan. But for now, it's just kind of like this long river that leads off screen to maybe another mountain that's to the south. And there might be some more activity up here eventually, but I wanted to really kind of focus all the town down here in the lower area of Mildestad. And then we've got Victoria. Well, we've got Victoria Beach, which is going to just be some like kind of piers off with the river and maybe some activities up on the beachfront. But it kind of leads into Victoria proper, and you've got kind of this other Queen Victoria who lives in this palace. You've got some shops, you've got some residential, and they don't have a church. I decided in Victoria, they're kind of a bit more of a secular area. So I have a museum instead of the church. So there might be some museum activities eventually here instead of church activities. So, just kind of creating a lot of different types of societies. So there's like Doriconia, which has six different statues to six different gods. They're very inclusive. Then you've got this area with zero statues. You got the six regions that have statues. So just kind of like creating the pantheon slowly but surely. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I missed anything. I think I did three in the first video, and I think I just did five in this video. Um, so that should be eight. I might be missing one. I'll just double check real quick before. But I think Halloween is what I left off on beginning with last time. So I did Halloween, Gunner's Grim, Castle Guard. Port Pawnee doesn't really count. Manheim and Mildestad, and then six is Victoria. So I think we've covered all of them. But yeah, this is kind of the update. It feels like there should be a lot more to go over. Since I haven't really made a video in like a week, but it's just a lot of NPCs to create, a lot of um, revisiting how I want to restructure the layout of the town, changing where these doors kind of come or going into the buildings and then coming out of the buildings, like the teleportations or whatever you call them, the transitions. But the teleportations, even with these like common events, like when I you teleport to the city, it would have gone like somewhere down here because that's where the teleport used to be. So just kind of updating that, just kind of going through a lot of the variables and the things, just making sure that nothing's going to get messed up when we're, if I, because I want to upload um, an updated draft at the end of each month. So this video will probably come out at the end of September. So if you're watching this, there might be a new um, just draft where you can go download this game from itch. I'll try to put a link in the description of this one. But yeah, this is the update, I guess, as of the 19th of September. Um, One of the things before I leave this video, I wanted to have a mini game where it's kind of like this delivery system. So one of the benefits of having 165 customized NPCs with probably many more on the way is that if I have this like kind of like coffee shop or something, and there's a mini game where you have to deliver the coffee to a certain NPC, um, then I can kind of keep track of where all the NPCs are, what their names are, and I think just mini games like this where you have to deliver this to, let's just pull up a random NPC. If you have to deliver this to Ulf in Gunner's Grim, then you have to kind of remember who Ulf is, and then you'll determine that, oh, he's the shaman of the church in Gunner's Grim, and that kind of adds another layer to this character. And now you know what his favorite drink is or something because you have to deliver it to him. So just like stuff like that, I think is fun. But yeah, that's I don't even I want to take a little break from like planning out a huge project again. But we'll keep working on it slowly but surely. I think it's definitely healthy to take breaks from big projects like this, not overload yourself. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this. I think we've made so much progress over the last month. I'm excited to see what progress we'll have a month from now. And yeah, stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.